Again, actually. Money in the Bank, the upcoming pay-per-view from WWE. Finally, we're getting a chance to see the Money in the Bank match that we unfortunately didn't get to see at WrestleMania. Now, I thought it was a very poor loss to not have the match on the pay-per-view. It's the one you look forward to, and what did they replace it with? Probably some one-on-one sat in its position, and it certainly didn't make up for what is usually very action-packed. Now, with this, I'm trying to think back, but is there a Money in the Bank for Raw and SmackDown on this pay-per-view? Is it two Money in the Banks?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, you'd have one.
How does that work? I remember asking this last year. How can they have two guys with two brief... It didn't...
No, maybe you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, maybe you're right.
Because it's all...
I'm just trying to think of times when like Swagger, or Edge, or Punk had it. Did they just stick to their brands to cash it in? I can't even remember, to be honest. But
well, SP103 says there is actually two matches. And it just shows the wrestling fan memory. I just don't know. I remember asking this last year. How are two guys going to have a briefcase? How is that going to work? So it is like, you know, it happens in cycles, but I'm not sure. But somehow anyway it works. And does one take on the other and the other loses the briefcase? Or you're going to know in the chat room either way, but we'll get to that. Who is going to be put over in this? Now you've got R-Truth, The Miz, and Christian sitting in a a pile now of guys who I think really they've had their main event try, and now it's a bit of a downgrade. They will get a chance again, but you know, R-Truth, Money in the Bank, it could be.
I don't think R-Truth would be a wise choice for it, to be honest with you. I don't think he would. Somebody though did strike me as being a good choice for a winner. I'm just trying to think who it was. Possibly it could have been someone from SmackDown.
Yes, SmackDown probably be a good choice anyway.
It wasn't one of the Truths, or it wasn't Evan Bourne. It wasn't Swagger. Fuck, I can't remember. Who else is over on the SmackDown side? It wasn't Sin Cara. It wasn't Christian. Who else did we do? There was somebody that was like the perfect, that would be the perfect person.
We know the chat room here has informed us a lot more, and of course my memory has not served me here, because it says Miz and Kane last year, and actually Kane cashed that in on the night, so that's what would make you forget about that. But Christian, much better used than TNA, says Iron Reverend, and Shockmaster, the roster is small on both Raw and SmackDown. It would probably be an 8 or 10 man Money in the Bank match for a single briefcase. They could change it. They're entitled to do that. And of course I think that could be the way, because if Christian as a SmackDown guy was on that show this week where you had R-Truth and The Miz, maybe they're saying, well, it is a multi-brand one match, we can't be dealing with two.
That's true. That's very, very true, yeah.
Possibly. And SP saying, presuming 6 from each brand, Raw should be Del Rio or Truth, Bourne, Mason Ryan, Miz and Alex Riley.
Yeah, I don't think it was any of those. Maybe it was somebody on SmackDown side, I'm thinking. Who's the heavy hitters over there? Where's Dolph these days? He's back on...
Actually, Big Show is a heavy hitter, isn't he?
Unfortunately, yeah.
He's up there, of course. Also on the SmackDown front, well, Mark Henry, I think he's been in the Money in the Bank before.
Sheamus.
That's
who I'm thinking
where
of.
in the name of God is he? He'll be in FCW before
we need to
know
get back up there.
Absolutely, yeah. So, you know, they've got potential. Maybe your thoughts on who you would like to see in that. Whether you think it should be a one match or should it be two matches. I'd go with the one match and make it long. Because there's enough twists and turns in one that by the time you see the second one,
you're almost exhausted. Yeah.
You are. You're just like, well, I've seen him do that. I remember when they did that thing. They had the two matches. If I'm right here, it was kind of like you would see. It was like they replicated stuff in that next one that they had done at the start. There's only so many things you can do with getting up a ladder.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. How many? So there's just two Money in the Bank matches, isn't it?
I think, well, some are saying 2, others are thinking it might just be rounded down to
You know,
1.
I think it's 2. I think it is 2.
I think it is 2.
Yeah, yeah.
It certainly was 2. But therein again is the confusion that we have now about these branded pay-per-views, because they're different every month. We've got new names being introduced, and, you know, it's not that complicated to wrap your head around, but, you know, for somebody who maybe wants to be sold that pay-per-view without having to think, you know, am I going to see 1, am I going to see 2? It would be helpful to know that. But I suppose based on experience, 2 seems most likely, but ultimately 1 would be easy to get away with and probably more interesting. But Iron Reverend says there's only so many storylines you can use the Big Show in. He's too big to use all the time. SP suggesting SmackDown. Maybe one of these were your thoughts. Daniel Bryan, Sin Cara, Dolph Ziggler, Sheamus, Big Show and Cody Rhodes.
Cody would be a safe choice, but I think Sheamus was somebody I was thinking needs to be pushed back up to the top pretty quickly. He's definitely lost his flight. I know you can't always have it, like the Miz is kind of back down a little bit as well, and things come in circles, but Sheamus, I think, at least, you know, they kind of still give him mic time, but I think he needs to be back up. He's at his best when he's on top.
Certainly sadly lacking in Sheamus coverage, sadly lacking in Drew McIntyre coverage. You know, I hope it never stops with Del Rio. I think it has stopped a little bit, but he's in there with Big Show, and we did talk Big Show just there. He has been a topic, but why has he been always guaranteed the place since he came back?
Big
smiling. Show. Yeah, I think he's always, like, he's gone from Jericho teams to Miz teams, always being paired with the best. I mean, you know, I know he's better than an average big man.
Yeah.
I think he can wrestle. He's not a Khali, but I wonder why. I mean, the Mayweather thing.
Yeah, they have a fondness for him, and it's the same with Kane. Maybe they're just good people, workhorses, do anything for the company, good friends with Vince, on good terms, don't badmouth him. Politics, God knows, but either way, both of those guys always seem to land on their feet, Kane and Big Show. So yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of done everything he needs to do. He's like a Mark Henry, you know, he's just there now, and that's why they end up in these team up situations. But any angle really that has interested you with him ever? I can't remember.
No,
really one.
I'd say about the closest to interest I ever got was when he was ECW champion.
I think for me, the only thing that comes to mind is that stint with Jericho, the Jerry Show.
That was good. That wasn't so bad.
That was pretty funny, but
when they did it again then with Miz, it was like, okay, what were they? They were Show Miz.
Show Miz, yeah.
What was he? Jerry Show. So they did that a few months later and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's another question that we talk about in that interview about whether or not storylines should be reused. But the answers are gold. Jerry Jarrett next week on youtube.com/TheWrestleDope, and yeah, that's going to be good. We might maybe even play a snippet if it's possible.
Yeah, that'd be quite funny actually.
And yeah, certainly really glad. I mean, I can't say it enough. Thank you to Jerry Jarrett.
Yeah,
that's all I can
nice
say.
guy. Knows his stuff for sure, as you would if you were in the business since you were 6 years old.
That's it. So if you are watching us on YouTube, you can probably see that now. If you just click to the main channel page, then in the midst here of our talk of Money in the Bank, which has gone all directions, but ultimately it can be as long as it needs to be. So what would you like to see? I mean, we've talked about the 1 match, 2 match scenario. I know there's going to be people on the comments on YouTube going, it'll be 2 matches, etc. And then it'll probably be changed. But ultimately, you know, exciting matches broken up by interesting feuds, it can work. Now, if there's only one and it's the main event, that would be ideal. You know, people have mentioned who they would like to see in there, but it's kind of, you know, you can pick the guys from their size, really.
Yeah.
Would Cena be in this?
Well, I suppose he's the champ, so...
He'd be defending.
Yeah, didn't that happen last year with somebody? Was it Edge?
Yeah, there was a champion put in.
Was it something like Edge was champion and he had to go in and fight for his life to keep the belt? Or was it something else? But
I think you could be right.
Yeah,
Edge was thrown in there.
Somebody like that was thrown into a situation.
Was it Elimination Chamber, maybe?
Oh, could have been Elimination Chamber, yeah. I think you're right with that one, actually.
Absolutely. So good luck to Iron Reverend. Talk to you again. Shockmaster. Big Show is unique. He's a giant that can speak well. His presence is always felt in the ring, and I'm pretty sure he's close with McMahon in the good books. Of course, he is Hogan's nephew. He's Hogan's nephew, Big Show, actually.
Really?
Or he's either a big friend or a nephew.
That is crazy.
He's on Hogan Knows Best and stuff like that. You actually do see him hanging around Hogan.
Interesting.
But crazy juice. My name is Stephen too. Talking ROH, Animals 07. A little bit of ROH, but it's tough for us because we don't get it on TV here. We have talked about Ring of Honor in the past, but an update on that. Now, I think you said something about...
I've been kind of following, not so much the programming, but the whole situation
new
with their...
TV? Or
Yeah, I mean, some people are putting them down saying, you know, it doesn't have that much output. It's going to be nowhere close to what TNA is. I'm sure people in the States could probably vouch more so, or people in the chat room who might know more information about it. But from, I suppose, the standpoint here in the HQ, I think it's a good thing for them. It might, you know, take their production value up a couple of notches. God knows it's needed. They've changed their logo. They had that press conference during the week, which I watched out of curiosity. Quite funny. They're doing the old school, getting the guys up on camera and the talent. And I think anywhere Cornette is, you're going to get some good stuff no matter what. So, you know, he had his 2 cents at the press conference and pretty much sold what they were trying to do with this Best in the World pay-per-view coming up tonight, I think. So it'll be interesting to see. I think there could be serious competition for TNA, not so much for WWE.
Yeah, I would love for them to be at that level where they were just enough to compete with TNA, because they could kick their ass, more or less. I mean, with those matches that I've seen where guys are just doing stuff that is incredible, that, you know, you actually start watching the wrestling again, and that's where wrestling does truly matter, because you can actually see it in action, why you might have ever been interested in two guys, you know, tearing around the ring doing stuff to each other. In this case, it's always been amazing. I mean, I think back to American Wolves, those guys, that tag team, and some of the matches they would have had back when I maybe had a bit of access to the TV. Everybody on there was more or less impressive. Of course, you get those rare women's matches as well. And who was it they put in there? Was it Sarah Del Rey? It's all quality. You look at these people, you can see that you know, why WWE picked up on some of these people, and eventually they got there. But, you know, we will maybe talk a bit more. Maybe that's the missing link, more Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
But on the Money in the Bank thing, I think someone said something here. It was Dakon 300. Hello to you. He said CM Punk says he's going to leave with the belt at Money in the Bank. Do you think it's a bit obvious that he might win, but the winner of Money in the Bank cashes in on him in the same night?
Yeah, it's very, 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 very possible. It would be a nice swerve, especially if, if somebody like Cena went over. It'd be a good way for Punk to bow out. Even, I think, no matter what the case, if he is to leave or if he is to stay, I think more so if he is to leave and he does want time out, for him to take the belt anyway. I know he's not going to bring it anywhere, but almost in a sense retire for whatever. I know it might be tough for them to do, but definitely would cement him some bit, you know. They've nothing to lose for it. It's only going to take 10 minutes to do, and then it's done. And then you can pick up the pieces on Raw, you know. I genuinely believe that would be an interesting finish to it. Have him cash it in, win it, and then drop it and leave.
Do you think it... I know it naturally involves surprise, that somebody has to run out and go, okay, I'm going to cash it in now, unexpectedly somewhere. Of course, the Miz thing went on forever. Now, he won that at the pay-per-view, so the actual specific Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So I never kind of rated that in the same league as winning it at Mania. It just seemed like a lower pullover in one sense. And when you think about the fact that there was two guys who won it, of course, Kane went on to be World Heavyweight Champion.
Well, that was just strange.
Yeah, that actually happened. Amazing, thinking about it. But of course, has anyone mentioned Swagger for this? Because Swagger could certainly be in.
No, but you see, he's done it. He's done that.
He won that.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it would be, they'd get a lot of heat, I'm sure, if they tried to revisit that one. But you know, stranger things have happened, and it would build him back to where he needs to be, I think, probably as well.
you know, maybe the names have been mentioned that could potentially be on there. I think SP certainly covered a lot of them, and I think it's genuine, you know, chances for all of those guys you mentioned. But if we were talking about who we personally would like to see win a Money in the Bank, now you can think logically and you can think about what you'd actually like to see. You know, if it was a combined, see, that's where I'm going to say it's 2 matches, because if there was a Raw one, let's go with, you know, I wouldn't mind, it's controversial, but Kofi Kingston, now that he's lost that US belt, give it to him and give a baby face that briefcase for a while, and
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
At least he can hold it, and in a sense, you know,
He'd be a good ambassador for the big belt.
and I think in reality then R-Truth is going to take it.
I think it'd be stupid for them to do that. I don't think he needs to do it. He just needs to keep talking shit. He'll be fine.
The little Jimmy stuff with the belt, if he fully had the belt, I know he took it off him for a while, but if you had those videos with him with the belt, that really is it. I'm happy enough at that point.
You know what I would like
the
to see?
intense face.
I think what would be great actually, they really should. I don't think they're. Well, God knows the situation, but if Punk does stay for whatever reason, or you know, to give him the belt and he legit everything's cool with him, I could guarantee, or he would certainly be stupid if he didn't get rid of that bloody spinner belt. Do you think Punk's going to walk around with that thing? Honestly,
Well, it could be part of his contract, you know, get rid of the spinner belt, change the world title for me. I'd say they might do a fair bit. With the unexpected Edge departure, I honestly think they're going to try a bit harder with this
just
guy.
reminded me of something very funny. The Urban Wrestling Federation. Have you seen any of these promos?
It's it's like it was a hip hop.
Have you seen the belt?
I haven't seen it. No,
The
I
belt
heard
has-
about this though. Yeah.
Has a spinner hubcap.
Right. That's not bad. Yeah.
Hilarious.
But is it all African American guys? Or you get white
Oh yeah,
guys?
I think it's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks hilarious.
Yeah, no, somebody mentioned that this week, and they were talking, I think that's where the whole thing, this idea of the pay-per-view, I was talking about that to you at some point, but so there's a Ring of Honor pay-per-view live now, is it? Or is it on later?
Oh, that's right, it was starting pretty early, yeah.
Is it? Well,
No.
let's have a look at that and see what's going on. I'm sure many of you are in there, maybe even checking it out. Mac Attack 90, I'm thinking Cody Rhodes set up an Orton v Rhodes feud with DiBiase in the mix. So I suppose getting away from Money in the Bank itself, random pairings that we could possibly go through. I was thinking after this actually we could even go for the WrestleMania 28 early thoughts for 5-10 minutes. Throw together some random pairings, a year on, 9,000 views. It does seem to work. It's just people like to know now, you know, what do you think? But it's more keywords. Actually, I realised the one that we did actually get a lot of views on, that kind of talked about Mania 27 a long time before, actually did feature Macho Man back, question mark.
Oh,
We were talking about Macho Man saying that he's coming, you know, he could be here for this one. But I think it's good to have it there because it shows, you know, we were banging on about him.
we were.
You know, we wanted him back. It wasn't
Yakking.
just, you know, it wasn't jumping on the bandwagon. We always wanted him. Well, maybe no one did. But going forward, Money in the Bank, still talking about those thoughts on that. So
Let's talk about this five potential people you would like to see on the Raw side of things. Who do you think legit now, genuine legit, that you would enjoy seeing? Not the kind of obvious main.
Okay,
main
well, I'll
players.
go. That's pretty easy. I'd go for Evan Bourne. I'd stick him in there.
I think Evan Bourne would be a wise choice.
Evan, Dolph, Kofi. I would for the swerve and to make us think it's important, I'd put Cena in with the belt. If they did it with Edge, then surely it can be done here.
He needs to
Maybe
work.
it's not realistic.
He needs to work for his belt.
You know, maybe stick him in because do you remember that time? I always go back to it. It was Triple H and the US champions on a pay-per-view. It was like a 5-man thing, and you had Triple H on top. You had guys like MVP and Matt Hardy. You know, throw those lower end guys in with Cena, and you have that.
That's a good way to handle it. Yeah.
Maybe I'd go with that. Yeah.
There's no one else you can really put in there from the Raw side of things, I suppose, is there?
Not too many.
No.
Not too many.
I'll say SmackDown one. I'll put Cody for sure. I wouldn't put Big Show in there. I don't think he needs to be in there. Is Del Rio officially on Raw now, or is he on SmackDown?
I think he's on Raw. Yeah.
He'd probably be the other one for your Raw one, I'd say, wouldn't he?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's confusing because since that last draft, there were a lot of things that I'm not certain on anymore. But it's all that crossover stuff. Somebody says, I think Dakon, bad thing is that on Mac, bad thing on that is Mac, if you follow spoilers or live results, then you would know that on the dark matches they are pushing an Evolution reunion. Well, that's interesting.
Great team tune that. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, that was a great team tune.
Everyone
wasn't
loves
it?
that one. Actually.
Ah, it's a fun one. Yeah.
Is Morrison going to be back by Money in the Bank? He's the crucial Raw missing element, isn't he? Actually, I have to give him some credit because without him, there's certainly something missing. Actually.
Yeah. Still can't talk for shit though.
Raul 831, Del Rio sucks. I don't know about that now. Captain Charisma, nice team. So maybe I'll turn around on you for the SmackDown side. Now that's even harder. So that is
for the 5?
For the Money in the Bank, who would you?
Well, I'd say certainly Cody. I'd love to see Sheamus in there and take it. Christian will probably have to go in there. Again, Orton, I suppose, like you say, he could probably work the same deal as Cena, fight for his belt. And to make it interesting, I'll put... Well, I wouldn't because... Well, I wouldn't mind seeing him in there just for the fun of it, Sin Cara. But I think it would be too much too soon for that guy. So, with that... See who you left with on maybe Kofi? He's on Raw though, isn't he?
He is on Raw, yeah.
Dolph is on Raw?
I believe so.
These drafts got me all topsy-turvy.
Well, at the same time, you're missing Drew. You know, you're missing guys.
I was going
like
to say
that,
Drew. He's the kind of the reliable SmackDown guy, isn't he?
They should get him ready for TV next week. Don't make this FCW thing permanent with Justin Gabriel. Put him back on, you know. I mean, you can't be throwing these... I suppose they sell some events and we only hear about it.
If Big Zeke wasn't the IC champion, I would stick him in, definitely. I think he would be quite funny in there. I'd like to see Ted DiBiase babyface run, whack him in as the fifth one.
Yeah,
that would be a nice little blend. I'm sure that's all you've got to go on, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you where we are in this business.
Hi to Sheamus Ireland. Del Rio is facing Cena for the title at SummerSlam. That'll be a good match. I'd look forward to that. I hope SummerSlam gets to that level and we're not left with what we had last time. Sheamus, Cody Rhodes is going to get a huge push to the title, and Raul Coffey needs a WWE boost from the GMs. The GM got really annoying this week. It was during the CM Punk thing, and we're going to move on to talking about 3-hour Raw thoughts as we wrap up. Early-ish Money in the Bank thoughts and what we think could happen. But you mentioned Ted DiBiase there, and you know, again, I go back to the Capital Punishment card as it read, match by match. And who did I just mention there? Ted. He wasn't on it yet again. And I kind of thought, like, if we're going to have the post-Taker, the post-Michaels, it's going to be Ted DiBiase, people like that there. I thought those would be the guys that are there, but clearly not. You're left with, I can't even remember. That's who you're left with. And basically, yeah, I hope that improves because, like, I see guys hanging around the sidelines, not on the pay-per-view. Was Sheamus not on this that last pay-per-view?
I believe he was not.
Was not?
I could be wrong, but I don't think he was.
So I suppose don't try and sell us future stars that McMahon backs without actually maybe sticking with them. Because all you really have to do is stick with a guy, isn't it?
You can just, development, just a small thing, give them something to do. Anything. That's all you have to do. Just give them some shit to do and they'll do it. And that'll get them over. Even that Johnny Curtis NXT guy, he's doing these small little things every week now for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And you remember, that guy's coming soon, so...
It's a hell of a vast roster, isn't it?
Looking forward to that one.
You know, when you think through, when you say someone like Johnny Curtis, you know how vast a collection of people they have back there. I mean, it's lucky for them. They get paid. I mean, I'm sure they want to be used. It's not like they're sitting there going, I don't want to be.
You know what would be fantastic, now that we don't have a Karma? A masked diva. Now, what got me thinking about this was, saw a picture with Velvet Sky and some of the other knockouts, and they were doing some. I think it was that thing that Jarrett won some belt with some Mexican thing or something like that. But they were pictured with this female wrestler with this kind of gimmick mask or whatever. Got me thinking. I was like, Christ, how cool would it be if they just put a mask on somebody, one of the divas?
Yeah,
They could do with it.
Yeah,
They've got two in Sin Cara and Mysterio. I think it's time for a diva to put a mask on. If you got some, I know they'd probably have to live up to the high flying thing, and unless you're some serious wrestler, it might be tough because a lot of them aren't the greatest, especially the divas. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But she wouldn't have to necessarily be a high flyer. She could just put a mask on. Punk had a mask on for a while when he was angry. So maybe if they just did something like that.
Well, if you're going to do 2 Money in the Bank matches, why not give us a Divas one and give them a path to go and get a briefcase?
That would be cool.